Hi, how are you today? I hope you're good. Do you know the difference between intent and interpretation? Well, intent is the reason, the real reason, or reasons that somebody does something. Like, if you hug your mother, why did you do it? Did you do it because you love her? Because she gave you a piece of cake? Because it was Mother's Day, it was her birthday, or she was sad? Or because you wanted to manipulate her into giving you something or getting something for you? That's intent. And then there's perception or interpretation. And this is how another person, could be the receiver, could be a bystander, interprets or views the event that occurred. So I could be watching the child giving the mother a hug, and I could make my own deductions about why the child did it. If I have the full context, it's much easier. If I'm standing there, I can look and I can say, yeah, that child was trying to get some ice cream. And so he hugged his mom and told her how wonderful she was and buttered her up and softened her into the point that she gave in and gave him the ice cream that he wasn't supposed to have yet. Or it could just be that he was really just being a loving child, or she was being a loving child, and expressing that love to mom. It would depend on the context. Now, here's the problem, and this is something that has affected me and many people, and it can be very, very damaging. So let me give you two separate examples. Once I was working for an outsourcing company, and I was a supervisor. And now, if you're not from America, you may not be aware that there are some very strict laws out there that are intended or designed to protect women from sexual harassment and discrimination, which I think is great. I was raised up to believe in equal rights for everybody. And I certainly feel, given the number of women that I know who have been raped or sexually molested, that this is important. So, one day I was pulled into to be reprimanded, I guess you could say. And I was told that I had been harassing certain women, not sexually, but harassing them, and my jaw dropped because I had never intended to harass anybody. I had never meant to make anybody feel uncomfortable. I had been in situations where somebody else had made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't, and I was like, okay, it's okay. I get it. But someone or someones had filed a complaint against me, claiming that I had harassed them, and it had to do with gender somehow. I never was given the details because that would have, I guess, revealed who it was that tried to get me into trouble. But I did, make it very clear that I had not intended to do anything wrong, and that I asked the supervisors that they would please tell those women or the woman, whatever, that I apologize, that was never my intent. So that's one I've experienced. Another one I experienced was much more recent. I was on a forum that was specific to the type of job that I was looking for at the time. And this was a private Slack forum. And I had gone on there initially and asked for assistance from the members in trying to improve my resume, to improve my chances of getting a job. And I was very, very grateful for the help that I received from men and women on that website, and especially this one particular woman who spent a lot of time trying to give me guidance on my resume. And I praised her, and I also made a point of spending a lot of time in that forum trying to help other people there when they had questions, trying to share what I know and what I've experienced, and be of benefit to other people like they had been to me. And then I had a couple of situations. The first situation was that there was this one particular woman who had indicated that she was looking for work, and I was very impressed with her. And I just wanted to be helpful, so I would occasionally find a job that seemed to be what she was looking for, and I would post it and mention her name. And eventually a third party came out and said something to the effect that, "Why are you doing that? She doesn't need your help." And my response was basically that I'm just trying to help her. There was no ill intent or anything like that. And finally, she directly responded to me and said she didn't want me to help her. I was like, okay, no problem. And I explained to her I was just doing it because I respected her. Then weeks later, I found this really helpful video. It was not by me. It was not by a person that I know. It was, but it was, and I don't even remember what it was about anymore. But it had to do with motivation and stuff. And I thought it had a very powerful and useful message. So I decided that I would share it on that forum, and I did. And I made a very positive comment about the video. And suddenly, I was being attacked by a woman who accused me of clickbaiting. And why would I clickbait somebody's video? I don't even know. I was just sharing something that I thought was very powerful and useful for people. And then this person accused me of discriminating against people with mental health issues. And I was like, well, I've got mental health issues. Well, and she said, well, that doesn't mean you aren't discriminating against other people. As if she could, read my mind. And then other people started jumping in, and they were, ganging up on me, and there was nobody moderating or anything like that, and I felt very persecuted, and I didn't really feel that the situation was handled in a way that I would expect by people in that profession. They were very negative toward me. I apologized right away, and I explained myself. I explained my intent, and they said, "Well, it doesn't matter what your intent was. What you did was wrong, and therefore you have to apologize without giving any kind of explanation for it. You can't just do that." And I wasn't. I was not happy with that. I mean, my intent was pure, and they were invalidating my attempt and refusing to consider it even. And then a couple of women in a separate channel that was apparently meant for that was not limited to women, but was designed for women, I guess you could say, although it was open to anybody. A couple women went into that channel and they started bad-mouthing me, and soon enough, all sorts of women were saying, "Oh yeah, he's too active. Oh, I don't like his name. Oh, I don't like his avatar. Oh, he's too helpful. Oh, one time I said this and he agreed with me, and that was very condescending." And I was like, and I found all these negative comments, including from one of the women that had publicly attacked me about the video, and she said, "I just want to throat punch him." And I was like, so and then the owner of the forum contacted me. And I said, "Look, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to upset anybody, but look at the nasty stuff they're saying about me, and some of it is just completely petty and even untrue." And then I published a public apology with a brief explanation of what I had intended. And that same woman that wanted to throat punch me, she and the other woman who had ganged up on me secretly in that women's channel, then proceeded to say, "Well, that's not good enough, and you can't do that. You have to just apologize." And I didn't respond anymore, and I got kicked off the forum. So, where and why is it that somebody's interpretation can be, and I'm not even going to address the bullying that occurred. I'm not even going to address the way that they orchestrated and blew it entirely out of proportion and orchestrated getting me off of the board, off the forum. All I'm going to talk about is this. When you have a situation where one person does something and somebody else interprets it differently than the intention, there are different possibilities, because we all have different biases, we all have different filters, we all have different life experiences. So, a great example of this is I was working at the post office, and I was being forced to resign because I was unable to handle the heat of the summer, and the postmaster was kind of, he's a bit of an ass, and he told me that he wasn't going to pay me to work, and I said to him, "Well, do you sleep well at night?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you probably shouldn't." And he said, "Are you threatening me?" Now, my intention had purely been to make him think about his actions and how his decision was negatively impacting me, because I had specifically asked, "Please allow me to continue to work so I can earn money while I find another job." But he chose to take it as a threat. So my intent was just purely to make him realize that what he was doing was going to have a negative impact on me and my children, and that he was ignoring my very specific request that I had relayed to him through a supervisor. And his interpretation was that I was threatening him with violence, which I was not doing. So, who wins in a situation like this? Well, in the case of women, it tends to be, not always, it tends to be that a woman's interpretation of the situation may trump the man's intent. And, honestly, I personally feel very uncomfortable sometimes talking to women, not because I don't like women, I do, but simply because the tables have turned to the point that it is dangerous for men to say things, even innocuous things, even things that are completely innocent, because some woman may just completely misunderstand and then not accept that they misunderstood. But I want to open this up to include more than just the man-woman thing or the gender thing. When is it that the intention of somebody is worth less than the interpretation of other people? I mean, in a perfect world where everybody has the same level of social and emotional intelligence, it'd be very easy to make a determination. Well, we all are emotionally mature and socially mature to the same level, so this is clearly a case where you screwed up, or where you have the wrong interpretation. But that's not the case. There are people who are highly skilled at social situations, and then there are others who are poor, and there are people in the middle. And the same goes with emotional maturity. There are people, it's a whole spectrum of people. And but to say that, you know what, it doesn't matter what you intended. How I feel is more important. Well, okay, but let's say we have a woman, and I'm gonna draw on a real situation that occurred with me. I was doing a training class, and everyone was on break except for this one woman who had stayed in the training room with me, and I was trying to fix a connection to a computer or something like that that was under the table, and she was sitting not too far away from me, and suddenly she starts to flirt with me, and then she said, "Oh, but you wouldn't be interested in a woman with X number of kids." And she was an attractive woman, but I didn't respond to it because I didn't feel it was an appropriate place to do so, and I certainly didn't want to be accused of sexually harassing a woman who was coming on to me. So, but and maybe you're thinking, well, Glenn, maybe you misunderstood. No, she was being very clear with me about what she wanted, and I just kept to the neutral road, and I didn't say yes or no to her. I didn't want to offend her. She was good looking. I would have been interested in dating her, but I didn't feel that was the right situation, right time. So another example. Say, for example, you have been repeatedly traumatized and with physical violence. So you have PTSD. You have been abused by a parent or somebody, or maybe multiple people. It could be, bullying. It could be a violent neighborhood that you're in. But in any event, you are traumatized, and when a person raises their arm in a certain way, you automatically try to ward them off, and you become freaked out and start screaming. Now, it doesn't matter what the person's intention was. You automatically, and when I say automatically, I really mean automatically, because it's become built into your brain to react this way. You have no conscious control over it, and it would take a lot of training to get rid of that response, to calm down the amygdala and stop it from hijacking your brain and stuff. But you will automatically and immediately respond the same way you would respond in the real situation of abuse. And then later, unless you were able to be clear-headed and realize that you had made an error, you would accuse the person who raised their hand, in all innocence, of trying to attack you and abuse you. So, does that person deserve to be punished because of your mental illness? Your automatic response? No. Do you deserve to be punished because of it? No, also, you need help. But you shouldn't have to be falsely accused. You shouldn't have to undergo, I guess you could say, torment, because somebody's mentally unstable or mentally damaged and can't react appropriately in certain situations. Like I said, I have mental health issues, and I certainly can understand how we as humans take things the wrong way. But I think also that it's extremely important that the stated intention of the person who's being accused be taken into consideration. I believe that of course, any of the people involved could be lying. I mean, I've been a teacher and I've seen children lie. I've got kids. My kids have lied to me. I've seen lying happen all the time in many different situations, and some of them good for good reasons, some of them for bad reasons, some of them for horrible reasons. And so, I understand that we all view the world differently, but to just say, you know what, I accept your apology. I understand that your intention was not how I interpreted it, and I don't have a real reason to doubt you now that I've carefully looked at it and stuff. But maybe you need to learn to communicate better, and that could be a possibility. Or maybe it's my fault and I need to learn to be more careful in my interpretation. I've had many situations where I have misunderstood people in writing or in conversation. And then I looked at it again. I was like, wow, why did I think that? That's not at all what the person wrote. And it's just, it's very easy. It's very, very easy for us to come up with a distorted interpretation of a situation, of what somebody says, of what somebody writes. So my point here is that somebody's intention should not be ignored or discarded because somebody's interpretation of their actions was bad. Likewise, the interpretation somebody has should be used by the person who did the action to improve themselves, to refine the way they speak, the way they act, to become a better person. And if the person who has interpreted did so incorrectly, that person should also introspect and try to improve themselves so they stop reacting that way. I mean, when I was younger, I struggled for many, many years, and even off and on through my adult life later on, especially during my wife's decline and death, I struggled with depression, and that severely colored my perception of the world. And I've embraced the false law of Murphy as a truism when it's not true. Life is not good and not bad. It is what it is. And if you go into it expecting bad things to happen, you will actually cause bad things to happen. Through your actions and your words, through your choices, you will make bad things happen. And likewise, through your actions, words, and choices, you will make good things happen if you have an expectation that good things will happen. So, but again, I'm getting off topic there a little bit. Please, the next time that you have a difference of opinion or a conflict with somebody else, find out what their intent was. And if this is somebody who you know through experience that they're manipulative, for example, or they're dangerous, or they're destructive, or they're bad, or something like that, this is somebody you should just stay away from. If it's like it's your ex and you have a child together, well, then you need to take it into the courts, or get a restraining order or something to keep yourself safe. But you also need to have a level head. You need to be calm and look at things carefully and, may I say, dispassionately, in order to come to the right conclusion. We have so many biases and filters that it's very easy for us to distort our perception of reality in favor of those perceptions and biases. I see it all the time. It's incredible. Um, I hope this has made sense. I hope it hasn't really confused you. This is longer than I had expected to talk. If you have any questions or comments, I welcome, constructive, polite discourse. If you're going to be rude, don't bother because I'm just going to flag you. Okay. So, but if you want to talk with me about this, please go ahead and put something in the comments. Thank you very much and have a great day.